Campbell, thank you so much for joining us here at Empower 2024. Great to see you, hear your
And you,
insights.
Emma.
Thank you. So just start off with something general, really. What have you seen in terms of the M&A landscape and what's brought that about?
Yeah, look, today in the news, we've got Alliance and Witten merging. You're seeing a lot of that happening in wealth. I suppose in the landscape in investment management purely, people are sort of taking a little bit of a pause. But the reality is consolidation just continues wherever you look. I've spent a bit of time in Australia recently. Even Australia, the fifth largest pensions market in the world, has not escaped the winds of consolidation. So it's here to stay. It's all about delivering capabilities and trying to improve the client outcomes and the whole cost base.
Absolutely, that's what I was next going to ask you, really.
Yeah.
I mean, how are the industry sort of synchronising those disparate systems and who's doing it well and how are they doing it well?
Yeah, I mean, I always say this, look, there's so many different systems and you look at where the world's going and, if you want to call it a Harvard or Yale endowment, just think of people wanting to allocate their wealth across traditional asset classes, equity and bonds, private markets like private equity, private credit, and then finally real assets. And I think we're at a crossroads where that's going to be lifted above the traditional systems for each of those three segments and start to move into the cloud.
And is that because people are seeing that they don't have to go down a very traditional route and there are other options and other sort of products available, I guess?
Yeah, look, the bottom line is that the world of investing has moved away from traditional mutual funds and just equities and bonds. And, people talk about democratising. I don't like it. I think it's about taking strategies that were previously only available to the huge investors and the very wealthy investors and mainstreaming them and getting people access to those three different asset classes, those primary asset classes at appropriate times, but delivering top quality to them cheaply.
You talked there about what used to be historically only available to the big players, if you
Yeah.
like. I guess that's one of the key beneficials of these sort of consolidations. What else are you seeing in terms of what the benefits are? Obviously, operational efficiency and the like.
Well, I think, a lot of people, the industry is still a big black box to a lot of people. And, if I speak to my friends who, or relatives, and they all go, what the hell do you do? And we sort of say, well, actually, we try to make your retirement better, or we try to improve your financial health and things like that. But, it's shrouded in mystery and terms, and it reminds me of the, Georgian legal system. And people used to mystify it, so they didn't understand what they were getting. And I think the transparency and the accessibility is important now. And people can process so much today through their devices. So finally delivering that up to people and talking about them, what they're seeing in ways they more inherently and innately understand. So, I understand what a thematic fund is, right? I understand potentially what sustainable is. Now, the industry spends hours flogging itself to death about the definitions, but the fact that we're using things like the water fund, sort of for the first time ever, people are thinking, oh, okay, I'm investing in companies that...
I understand that.
I understand that. Say you're in the MSCI, Global Index 250 small cap mid value, and they just go, like
What
you've
does
just
that
done there.
mean?
What the hell does that
Exactly.
mean? But, I own a water fund. I own the 40 best companies that have got something to do with water, which is one of the most important things on earth to people.
So key transparency there, and I guess there's consumer
And
focused regulation coming in that's increasing that as well. The consumers being kind of put at the centre of things a bit more than they used to be.
Well, I always think they're at the centre of things. I grew up I trained as a barrister. I believe in the fiduciary obligations. I believe that, without my clients, that's the end of me. And I've always worked with firms who are very client focused and worked with people who've been always lead with the client. And sometimes we've forgotten about it because it's become so obscure and technical. But at the end of the day, we are, given the sacred responsibility of improving someone's financial well-being.
It's an absolute privilege.
Mhm.
And one factor that will play into that, that's been a hot topic at this event this week, is obviously how technology plays into that,
Yeah.
how things like AI can actually help the consumer have that kind of access, and also, I guess, improve that communication route for companies to understand their clients more as well.
I think AI is fascinating. I had a briefing on it 10 days ago, and these systems hallucinate. And uh, we've had a bit of a tragedy in the family, so we went out to Ascot the other day as a bit of a treat for my wife. So I thought I'll try ChatGPT and say who's going to win today at Ascot, and it completely made it up. It made the name of the races up, it made the runners up, and even the odds. So I sit down at the car park, and they say, right, well, who are we putting in the place spot? This is what I got from ChatGPT. And I read first race, and they go, hang on, the first race is the Buckingham Palace Stakes. And I go, no, it's not. It's the Duke of Buckingham's or whatever.
And Red Rum's going to win it.
Yeah, totally made up. And I think AI.
So human judgment is still required, particularly in this industry, I guess.
Artificial intelligence is going to be cured by human stupidity. Your average AI, it's no smarter than your household cat. So we've got a fair way to go yet.
And it's what you put into it, I suppose, that counts in terms of the data and things as well.
Yeah, well, when I was training as a young lawyer, I was told by this wonderful old QC, he said, don't worry about the answers, it's the questions that count.
Questions that count, which I need to ask you now. So just finally, with all of that in mind that we've just talked about, what are you excited about in terms of this industry and what's on the horizon now? You're hearing things at this event, you're talking to lots of colleagues, there's something like 1,400 people from the industry here. What excites you going forward?
Look, what excites me is that, I'm in a global industry that continues to evolve. I think it adds value. I think it's staffed by people who care and understand the deep responsibility they have, when you really push them. And, that's a great privilege, as I've touched on before. And, we'll continue to innovate. Hopefully we'll continue to thrive. We're responding to pressures around pricing, driving consolidation. We're responding to demands from clients, as we've touched on. So, I think we'll continue to, innovate. And, I hope there'll always be a place for a very focused expert fund management proposition. Because
well, I'm so happy to talk to this focused expert today.
I'm not an expert, but this is I think it's my 35th year. I'm 60 in December. Can you believe it? Someone said you don't look a day over 70.
But you're looking good on it for me.
Oh,
so.
wow, thank you. That's made my day, Emma.
Thanks so much for joining us. Great to hear your thoughts as always.
And thank you for a great conference as usual.